Welcome, Careblazer. Before you watch this week's video, I just want to hop on and let you know that the video you're about to watch is a video I recorded several months ago, well before we knew what was going to be going on in this world with the pandemic and all of the many restrictions in place in terms of visiting people in hospitals, nursing homes, group homes, etc. So this whole video is about how to talk to your loved one with dementia about moving to a higher level of care. So there are some suggestions in there that you might not be able to do right now because of the pandemic. Like you'll hear about going and visiting the place, touring the place, maybe having a meal at the place before you put your loved one there. I realize that with the way of the world right now, that is not going to be a realistic option for you. I do think this video is still really helpful with some of the tips specific Careblazers gave about how to get their loved one to go to a higher level of care. But even if you're not considering that for your loved one right now, this video is helpful if you feel like you're trying to convince your loved one to do or agree with you about something. This video can be helpful because I share some broader ways to think about the situation where you're really probably not going to be able to convince your loved one, but there are some other ways you can work through the situation. So I hope that the video can help you with that regard. I hope you can view it from that angle. Also, I want to let you know that in exactly 1 week and 1 day, so August 3rd, it's a Monday, I'm going live. I'm teaching a class on how you can reduce your dementia caregiver stress without needing any extra time, money, or help using my own Careblazer map system. I'm excited to teach this with you. I'm excited to answer any questions you have. There'll be a live question and answer session at the end. I know that so many of you are feeling even more stressed than normal as this pandemic continues, and a lot of our regular stress relief outlets are not available, and a lot of you might be have more care demands on your time than you've ever had before. I hope to see you there. It's totally free for you to join. There's a link below this video. All you have to do is click it. Let's jump into this week's video. What I specifically want to do is share with you what other Careblazers inside my Facebook community group did when they had to face this situation with their loved one. Sometimes the most helpful feedback and information comes from those who have been through this exact situation. So a lot of these Careblazers had some really great insights and some really creative ways of handling the situation, and I hope you might be able to benefit from what they shared. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that everybody is different. What you might feel best doing, what you're most comfortable doing, what is best for you and your loved one might be different than some of the Careblazers who shared their stories. That is okay. Every journey is different, and I think that it's okay for us to talk about all the different ways and without judgment, just choose which way works best for you and your loved one. It doesn't mean anything bad or good that somebody else did it differently. It's just that every journey is different. All right, let's see what these amazing Careblazers had to say. First, multiple Careblazers mentioned that you're likely going to have difficulty trying to convince your loved one they need a higher level of care. You're likely not going to be able to make your loved one feel really good about going to a higher level of care. And after you have a conversation with them about the need for them to go, they might resist it and not agree with it. And that doesn't mean that you can't move forward with the plan anyway. You can approach the topic of them having to go to a higher level of care in the best way imaginable with all the kindness and compassion, and your loved one still might resist, and it's just knowing like that might happen, and that's okay. It's very scary for the person with dementia to imagine going to a brand new place that they've never been with a bunch of strangers away from what they're familiar with. Like, it's a scary situation and idea to think about. So it's not unusual that the person might push back or not be in agreement. But you have to keep in mind and you have to consider what is best for your loved one while also considering your own needs and what you're able to do as well. Also, you want to acknowledge how they're feeling and be okay having a conversation about how they feel without trying to convince them or change their mind. So you might share with them that it's time for them to go somewhere where they'll have more care, where they'll be able to have more activities, and they might share all the reasons they don't want to go. And rather than getting stuck in this loop of trying to convince them they have to go, and that's the only option, it's okay to just acknowledge, like, I know this is scary. Like, I would be scared too. Like, I want you to know that I'm going to be here for you, though, and I'm going to follow up with you. I'm going to make sure we get you to the best place possible. I'm going to make sure your needs are taken care of. Like, but just to say, like, it's okay to be scared, right? Like, you're not trying to change that. When you get stuck in this position of trying to convince them that this is going to be all great, or trying to convince them that they need to go no matter what, like, you kind of are in a position of banging your head against the wall and increasing the chances of you and your loved one getting into an argument. It's okay to acknowledge how they feel without trying to convince them. Second, to help your loved one get more comfortable with the facility or in the idea of moving somewhere, a lot of the Careblazers commented that they actually took their loved one to meals at the new facility before they moved in. So they may have taken their loved one to several lunches or several dinners before it actually came to their move-in time. So the Careblazer was there with their loved one with dementia for a meal, got to see the facility, got to see the different people, maybe even got to see an activity about to start, and then they left and they went home. So it's not like this, it kind of helped with the transition. It wasn't this big, never been to this place before, and then here you go 24/7. Another Careblazer mentioned along the same lines, he placed his loved one in a facility that also did medical care. And so he started taking his loved one to the new medical provider for a couple of appointments before his loved one moved there, just to get familiar with the provider and with the place. Again, I love this idea in terms of helping with the transition. Third, the majority of Careblazers had given a compassionate lie, or something a Careblazer said was a compassionate truth. Another one called it creative thinking, meaning they told their loved ones part of the truth, but they didn't say the entire truth about what's happening. And some Careblazers just chose to go the full-on compassionate lie and come up with some sort of explanation or reason for why this was happening that they thought their loved one would be able to receive. For example, here are some of the reasons that Careblazers gave to their family members. Some Careblazers referred to the move as a trial period or a respite stay, meaning that there is actually an option for that person to return back home if it doesn't work out, but these Careblazers didn't really want to do that. Other reasons Careblazers used were they told their loved one they were going out of town, so the loved one had to go somewhere to get care while they were gone. A trial period to see if she likes the place, just for a week or two. One Careblazer told their loved one that they were going to be a participant in a research study to give an honest opinion about the home. One told her loved one that the loved one was going there to volunteer. And in this case, you want to make sure you get the group home staff or the memory facility staff involved and encourage her to go to the scheduled craft time or whatever other scheduled activity they might have. And one told their loved one that they had to stay there while their home was being repaired. Perhaps there was a big leak, termites, or any other major home project. That actually seemed to be quite a popular one among several Careblazers, just in terms of something was wrong with the home. They needed to go stay somewhere on an emergency basis. One Careblazer even said that when the loved one kind of inquired, like, what's going on with the home? Is anything wrong? During an outing with their loved one, they went to the home, and the Careblazer made the bathroom look like there was needing some repairs or something done, and the person with dementia kind of bought into that, and it was fine. And in a lot of these cases, the person with dementia forgot the original reason they were told they were going to this place, and they started to adapt, get comfortable. Some of them even started to like where they were. Fourth, many Careblazers opted not to be the bad guy at all and to get the healthcare team involved. They had the person with dementia's doctor, social worker, psychologist, neurologist, whoever it was, let the person with dementia know you have to go somewhere for care. You can no longer live at home alone. And some of their loved ones were more receptive, or at least more they were at least following the strong recommendations or the strong urging of the medical team, and it didn't put all of the blame on the family member. Careblazer, I really wish there was an easy way to approach this situation. I wish there was a way that your loved one would just completely understand that you were doing something in their best interest. I wish your loved one would just completely understand that they needed this care and that they would accept it. But the reality is, the hard part about all of this is they are likely not going to see it that way. Or even if there's a little tiny part of them that knows they need the care, it's frightening and they're just going to want to stay at home, or they're just going to want to stay living with you. You have to consider your own self in this process, and you just have to know this is one of those difficult things that I wish you didn't have to go through, but it's sometimes what happens in dementia caregiving. And I hope that some of these ideas from Careblazers resonated with you and you might be able to try with your loved one. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I truly think one of the hardest things about caregiving is having to make decisions that are absolutely in the best interest of your loved one, but your loved one doesn't see it that way. I think this is one of those situations. I'll be back next week with another video. In the meantime, Careblazer, I hope that this was helpful, and click the link below this video. Join me tomorrow for the online free class where I'm going to share with you my Careblazer map for lowering your dementia caregiver stress. All right, take care.